it was to acknowledge what experiences people have been through. And without this sense of acknowledgement, it's very, very difficult to put any kind of past wounds or past indignities to rest. People just need to feel like they've been acknowledged for the suffering that they've experienced. Inclusion, here's another element of dignity. If you want to treat somebody well, include them. We human beings have this wonderful need to feel like we belong. And there's nothing worse than feeling excluded from something, especially something you want to be included in. Safety. Well, we all know about physical safety, right? We've got plenty of laws to protect us against that. But with the dignity issue, the important safety issue here is that you feel safe from being humiliated or treated badly. There's a psychological safety that's critically important. You know, I do work in the corporate world, and this issue of safety is violated all the time in the corporate world because people don't feel safe to speak up when their dignity is violated. They feel like they're going to lose their job. If their boss is violating their dignity, they think, oh my gosh, this is career suicide. I can't speak up to my boss. Are you kidding me? And fairness. Well, don't we all know fairness? I mean, fairness is something that is such a gut reaction to us. And imagine these little kids again. Go back to not so much the baby, but maybe kids around, 4 or 5 years old. Let's say you have 2 children, and you, the mother or the father, you're going to give them some candy. Well, what's the first thing they do when you hand out the candy? Compare it. Did she get more than I did? Kids have this inherent sense of fairness, and so we do too. We react so strongly when something feels unfair to us. So if you want to honor somebody's dignity, don't over-control them. Give them a sense of freedom. Don't micromanage them. Let them feel that their lives are in their hands, in their control, and more importantly, that they can sense and feel as if their lives are filled with hope and possibility. When people don't feel like they have hope and there's no sense of possibility, they're so controlled, there's such restrictions on their freedom, it's a violation of their dignity. Well, understanding. How often do we just rush to judgment when, talk about stereotypes? That's one of the behaviors that comes out of these biases that Shanae pointed out earlier, is that we think we know who the person is, so we rush to judgment about them. But if you want to honor their dignity, give them a chance to unfold in front of you. Give people the opportunity to express themselves and to show you who they are, and seek deeper understanding if there's something you don't know about them or something you maybe even don't agree with about them. Benefit of the doubt. Well, this is probably one of the most difficult ones for people because people say, benefit of the doubt, yeah, I'm supposed to give people the benefit of the doubt. What if they're not trustworthy? Right? So there's also research that demonstrates that the way you approach people, if you approach people with a positive attitude, even somebody that you may feel is not trustworthy, if you approach them with a positive attitude, you can pull out that positivity and trustworthiness from them. You can make them trustworthy. I thought that was pretty remarkable research too. And lastly, accountability. So all of us are going to violate somebody's dignity at some point, some of the times. I have to tell you, I wanted people to be really clear that just because I feel like I know something about dignity, it doesn't mean that I'm honoring dignity all the time. I have good days and I have bad days. Sometimes I blow it and violate somebody's dignity, and the most important thing that you do there is you go to that person and you say you're sorry. Don't let it go. Don't ignore it. Go to that person and say, I think I might have violated your dignity, and I'm really sorry about it. I'm working on this. I'm trying really hard. So, I call myself a recovering dignity violator. This, well, anyway, never mind. So if you want your relationships to really flourish, whether it's political relationships, whether it's your relationships at your office, or in your families, in your workplace, no matter what, honoring these 10 elements of dignity. And I'm sure none of these comes to you as any big surprise, I'm sure. And I'm sure you know all of these, and I'm sure you've practiced these many times in your lives. But somehow, having them in our consciousness, we were talking about this in our group, that the key element in this dignity work is just keeping that awareness alive in our minds, right? Being aware of how you treat people. And we talked about this metaphor of if you're getting into an interaction with someone and you're feeling like you might be violating your dignity, the metaphor is to take yourself up on the balcony, right? Walk yourself upstairs on a balcony and take a look at how you're behaving. So you're basically trying to get an image in your own mind of yourself in interactions with somebody. And that really helps. That really helps engage another part of you where you're not lashing out against the person. And, we have these 10, how are we doing here? We're assuming, how much time do we have?
You have till 11, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to go that long. But I want to say something about these 10 temptations to violate dignity, and that includes violating our own. This is something we spent quite a bit of time on in the group, the group yesterday and the day before, because there are ways in which our biology is set up to actually violate our own dignity. It's like the instincts that Shanae was talking about with the young kids. We don't come into the world a blank slate. It's a fantasy that we come into the world of a blank slate, and the evolutionary psychology and evolutionary biology is informing us so much about what it means to be a human being and what these predispositions are that we come into the world with. And we have to fight them, right? Just like Shanae was saying, we have to fight this us and them orientation that we bring to the world. Because you have to keep in mind, that was a survival instinct, right? That was a way of surviving by finding out who was the enemy and who wasn't. But you know what, in the 21st century, these survival instincts, they get us into trouble. So let's just quickly go through these. Don't take the bait. So when somebody provokes you and treats you badly and violates your dignity, our instincts want us to lash back, to return the harm. You're not going to get away with this, I'm going to, right? But we end up becoming the perpetrator. We end up becoming the dignity violator. So holding back and restraining ourselves, really learning how to restrain ourselves when we feel these instincts kick in, because that's the key. You'll feel it, right? Saving face, this is true all over the world. Nobody wants to look bad in the eyes of others, and we do all sorts of things. We can lie, we can fabricate stories about our behavior, instead of just saying, sorry, I made a mistake. Human beings don't like to look bad, so we cover up. Shirking responsibility is another aspect of it. We don't want to take responsibility when we've done something wrong. It's going to make us look bad. False dignity, well, this is a complicated one, but if you don't know deep inside you that you have inherent value and worth, and you're seeking to find your value and worth by external sources, like, oh, I only feel good about myself if I get the new job, or I can only feel good about myself if I win the prize, or if I get an A on this paper, or some external reason. If you don't have a firmly, like that notion of that baby, to know how valuable and worthy you are, other aspects of seeking false dignity without that inherent belief that you are worthy, it's leading yourself on the wrong path to where your dignity comes from.